The CIA. Two letters that conjure images of spies, secrets, and shadowy figures working in the dark. We've seen it in films, we've read it in books. But what if I told you some of the most outlandish tales weren't fiction? That the line between Hollywood and reality is blurrier than you think? The truth, as they say, is often stranger than fiction. Declassified CIA missions, once hidden under layers of secrecy, now offer a chilling glimpse into the agency's controversial past. These aren't just conspiracy theories whispered in hushed tones. We're talking about real operations, approved at the highest levels, that push the boundaries of ethics, morality, and even sanity. These missions force us to confront an unsettling question: what is our government capable of? From mind control experiments to staged terrorist attacks, the CIA's history is riddled with operations that seem ripped from the pages of a spy thriller. But these were not stories. These were real missions, with real consequences, and they raise a very real concern. What secrets still remain hidden in the shadows? To understand the lengths to which the CIA went, we need to travel back to the Cold War, a time of intense paranoia and mistrust between the United States and the Soviet Union. Both superpowers engaged in a high-stakes game of chess, vying for global dominance. Espionage became paramount, information was power, and the CIA, tasked with staying one step ahead, found itself increasingly drawn into a world of covert operations. The Cold War created a climate where the ends justified the means. At least that was the thinking. The fear of communism spreading was palpable. The US felt an immense pressure to contain the Soviet threat. This pressure cooker atmosphere led to some questionable decisions, pushing the CIA into ethically murky waters. The line between what was acceptable and what was not became increasingly blurred. One such operation, shrouded in secrecy and scandal, was MKUltra. Initiated in the 1950s, MKUltra delved into the world of mind control and chemical interrogation. The goal to create a truth serum, or a way to control individuals' minds. The CIA's methods were, to put it mildly, unethical. They experimented on unwitting subjects, including their own agents, soldiers, and even civilians. These experiments often involved administering LSD and other hallucinogenic drugs, sometimes in conjunction with hypnosis or electroshock therapy. The public outcry was immense when MKUltra came to light in the 1970s. People were horrified. How could their own government engage in such inhumane acts? The Senate held hearings. The CIA, in an attempt to cover its tracks, had destroyed many of the MKUltra files. What remained painted a disturbing picture of an agency operating with little regard for human rights or ethical boundaries. Section 4: False Flags and Presidential Vetoes. Operation Northwoods. And then there was Operation Northwoods, a plan so audacious, so morally bankrupt that it's hard to believe it was even considered. This operation, conceived in the early 1960s, proposed staging terrorist attacks on American soil. The attacks would be blamed on Cuba, providing a pretext for a U.S. invasion. The proposed acts were chilling sinking boats of Cuban refugees, simulating attacks on U.S. military bases, even orchestrating a fake terrorist bombing in Miami. The plan was presented to President John F. Kennedy, who, to his credit, rejected it outright. He recognized the moral abyss this operation represented. Northwoods shows the dangerous path the CIA was willing to go down during the Cold War. To think that elements within the US government considered sacrificing their own citizens to justify a war is a chilling thought. The fact that this plan made it all the way to the president's desk is deeply unsettling. Gap 3S, Section 5, The Birth of an Agency, The Origins and Early Operations of the CIA. The Central Intelligence Agency, or CIA, was established in 1947, in the aftermath of World War II. Its creation was driven by the need for a centralized intelligence organization to counter the growing threat of the Soviet Union during the Cold War. The National Security Act of 1947, signed by President Harry S. Truman, laid the foundation for the CIA, giving it the mandate to conduct covert operations and gather intelligence from around the globe. In its early years, the CIA was involved in numerous operations aimed at undermining Soviet influence and supporting American interests. One of its first major operations was in 1953, when the CIA orchestrated a coup in Iran, overthrowing the democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh. This operation, known as Operation Ajax, was driven by fears that Iran might align with the Soviet Union, potentially threatening Western oil interests. Another significant early operation was in 1954 in Guatemala, where the CIA engineered a coup to overthrow President Jacobo Arbenz. Arbenz's land reforms and perceived communist sympathies alarmed the U.S. government, leading to Operation PBS Success, which installed a military dictatorship that would rule Guatemala for decades. These early operations set a precedent for the CIA's future activities, revealing a willingness to intervene in the political affairs of other nations, often with little regard for the long-term consequences. The agency's actions during this period were driven by a Cold War mentality where the ends were often seen to justify the means. GAP 3S. Historical footage and images from these early operations show a time when the CIA was rapidly expanding its reach and influence. These images provide a glimpse into the agency's formative years, a period marked by covert actions, political intrigue, and a relentless pursuit of American interests abroad. As we reflect on the origins of the CIA, it becomes clear that the agency's history is complex and controversial. The decisions made in those early years continue to shape the world we live in today, influencing international relations and perceptions of the United States. GAP 3S. The story of the CIA is a reminder of the profound impact that covert operations can have on global politics and the lives of countless individuals. It also underscores the importance of oversight and accountability in ensuring that intelligence agencies operate within ethical and legal boundaries. In understanding the origins and early operations of the CIA, we gain insight into the challenges and dilemmas faced by those tasked with safeguarding national security. We also recognize the need for ongoing scrutiny and transparency to prevent the abuse of power and to uphold the principles of democracy. GAP 3S. As we delve deeper into the shadows of the CIA's past, we must remain vigilant, questioning the actions taken in our name and demanding accountability from those in power. The legacy of the CIA's early years is a testament to the enduring struggle between security and liberty, a struggle that continues to shape our world today. GAP 3S, Section 6. The Cold War Chessboard, Espionage, and Key Missions. As the Cold War intensified, the CIA found itself at the forefront of a global battle for intelligence and influence. The agency's role during this period was marked by a complex web of espionage activities and covert missions, each designed to counter the ever-present threat of Soviet expansion. GAP 2S. One of the most iconic espionage operations of the Cold War was the U-2 spy plane program. In 1956, the CIA began flying high-altitude reconnaissance missions over the Soviet Union, capturing invaluable intelligence on Soviet military capabilities. However, the program faced a significant setback in 1960, when U-2 pilot Francis Gary Powers was shot down and captured by the Soviets. The incident not only embarrassed the United States but also heightened Cold War tensions. GAP 2S. Another key mission was Operation Mongoose, initiated in 1961 following the failed Bay of Pigs invasion. This covert program aimed to destabilize Fidel Castro's regime in Cuba through sabotage, economic warfare, and assassination plots. Despite its ambitious goals, Operation Mongoose ultimately failed to achieve its objectives, further complicating U.S.-Cuban relations. GAP 2S. The CIA's involvement in the Cold War was not limited to espionage and sabotage. The agency also played a crucial role in supporting anti-communist movements worldwide. One notable example was the CIA's backing of the Mujahideen fighters in Afghanistan during the Soviet-Afghan War. Through Operation Cyclone, the CIA provided arms, funding, and training to these guerrilla fighters, contributing to the eventual Soviet withdrawal from Afghanistan in 1989. GAP 2S. Historical footage and images from these operations reveal a period of intense geopolitical maneuvering, where the CIA's activities often blurred the lines between diplomacy and warfare. These visuals depict a shadowy world of spies, double agents, and clandestine missions, each contributing to the larger chess game of Cold War politics. GAP 2S. The CIA's actions during the Cold War highlight the agency's adaptability and resourcefulness in the face of a constantly evolving threat landscape. However, they also raise important ethical questions about the methods used and the long-term consequences of these operations. As we examine the CIA's role in the Cold War, we are reminded of the delicate balance between national security and ethical conduct. GAP 2S. The Cold War era serves as a powerful reminder of the high stakes involved in intelligence work and the far-reaching impact of covert operations. It underscores the need for oversight and accountability, ensuring that the pursuit of security does not come at the expense of our values and principles. Gap 3S. As we continue to explore the hidden depths of the CIA's history, we must remain vigilant, questioning the actions taken in the name of national security and striving for transparency and accountability. The legacy of the Cold War is a testament to the enduring tension between power and principle, a tension that continues to shape the world we live in today. Gap 3S. Section 7, Modern-Day Intelligence, Counterterrorism, and Cyber Operations. In the post-Cold War era, the CIA has continually adapted to new and emerging threats, positioning itself as a vital player in the global intelligence landscape. One of the most significant shifts in its focus has been towards counterterrorism, particularly following the tragic events of September 11, 2001. Gap 2S. In the wake of the 9/11 attacks, the CIA spearheaded numerous operations aimed at dismantling terrorist networks and preventing further attacks. The agency's efforts included the controversial use of drone strikes in regions such as Pakistan, Yemen, and Somalia, targeting high-profile terrorist leaders. While these strikes have been credited with eliminating key figures, they have also sparked debates over collateral damage and the ethical implications of remote warfare. Gap 2S. Another crucial area of modern intelligence is cyber operations. As technology has advanced, so too have the methods of espionage and warfare. The CIA has developed sophisticated cyber capabilities to counteract threats from state and non-state actors alike. Cyber espionage, cyber warfare, and cyber defense have become essential components of the agency's toolkit, allowing it to gather intelligence, disrupt adversaries, and protect national interests in the digital realm. Gap 2S. Recent footage and images reveal a world where intelligence operatives work tirelessly behind computer screens, monitoring networks, analyzing data, and responding to cyber threats in real time. These visuals highlight the high-tech nature of modern intelligence work, where the battlefield is no longer confined to physical space but extends into the virtual world. Gap 2S. The CIA's role in modern-day intelligence underscores the ever-evolving nature of global threats and the agency's commitment to staying ahead of the curve. However, it also raises important questions about privacy, civil liberties, and the potential for abuse of power in an increasingly interconnected world. Gap 2S. As we delve into the CIA's contemporary operations, we are reminded of the delicate balance between security and freedom. The agency's actions in the realm of counterterrorism and cyber operations highlight the challenges of protecting national security while respecting individual rights and maintaining ethical standards. Gap 2S. The modern era of intelligence work is a testament to the rapid pace of technological change and the complex landscape of 21st century threats. It calls for a continuous reassessment of our strategies and policies to ensure that we remain vigilant, accountable, and true to our values. Gap 3S. As we continue our exploration of the CIA's history and its evolving role, we must remain mindful of the lessons of the past and the challenges of the present. The agency's journey through the realms of counterterrorism and cyber operations serves as a reminder of the ever-present tension between security and liberty, a tension that defines our world today. Gap 3S, Section 8. Controversial Operations and Global Politics, Unseen Hands in Global Affairs. The CIA's influence extends far beyond the borders of the United States, often shaping the political landscape of nations around the world. Throughout its history, the agency has been involved in numerous controversial operations that have had profound impacts on global politics. These operations, shrouded in secrecy, have sparked debates over their morality, legality, and long-term consequences. Gap 2S. One of the most infamous examples is the 1953 coup in Iran, known as Operation Ajax. The CIA orchestrated the overthrow of Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh, who had nationalized the Iranian oil industry, threatening Western interests. The agency's involvement in the coup led to the reinstatement of the Shah, whose authoritarian rule eventually sparked the Iranian Revolution of 1979. This intervention has had lasting repercussions, contributing to decades of strained relations between the United States and Iran. Gap 2S. In Latin America, the CIA's role in the 1973 Chilean coup against President Salvador Allende is another stark example. Fearing the spread of socialism, the agency supported General Augusto Pinochet's military takeover, leading to years of brutal dictatorship. The support for Pinochet's regime, which was marked by human rights abuses and political repression, remains a controversial chapter in the CIA's history. Gap 2S. More recently, the agency's involvement in the Middle East has come under scrutiny. The 2003 invasion of Iraq, based on intelligence reports alleging weapons of mass destruction, has been widely criticized. The subsequent instability in the region and the rise of extremist groups have raised questions about the accuracy of the intelligence and the real motives behind the intervention. GAP-2S. These operations, among others, highlight the complex and often controversial nature of the CIA's activities on the global stage. They reveal a pattern of intervention that, while aimed at protecting national interests, has sometimes led to unintended and far-reaching consequences. GAP-2S, stock footage and images of these events provide a visual narrative depicting the turmoil and upheaval caused by these covert actions. From protests in the streets of Tehran to the haunting images of Chilean political prisoners, these visuals underscore the human cost of clandestine operations. GAP-2S. As we examine these controversial episodes, we are reminded of the delicate balance between power and responsibility. The CIA's actions in global politics serve as a cautionary tale, urging us to scrutinize the motives and methods of those who wield influence behind the scenes. GAP-2S. In a world where the lines between national security and political manipulation are often blurred, the legacy of these operations calls for greater transparency and accountability. It challenges us to consider the ethical implications of covert actions and to strive for a more just and equitable world. GAP-3S. As we move forward, it is crucial to learn from these controversial chapters in the CIA's history. By understanding the impact of these operations on global politics, we can better navigate the complexities of international relations and work towards a future where the pursuit of power is tempered by a commitment to justice and human dignity. GAP-3S. GAP-3S, Section 9, The Future of the CIA, Reforms and Challenges, Navigating Tomorrow's Threats. As we look towards the future, the CIA stands at a crossroads. The rapidly evolving landscape of global politics, technology, and security presents both opportunities and challenges for the agency. Speculative scenarios and futuristic media elements help us envision what lies ahead for this powerful institution. GAP-2S. One of the most pressing issues is the need for reform. The controversies and ethical dilemmas of the past have sparked calls for greater transparency and accountability within the agency. Proposals for reform include increased oversight by independent bodies, stricter adherence to international laws, and a more robust framework for protecting human rights. These changes aim to rebuild public trust and ensure that the CIA operates within the bounds of legality and morality. GAP-2S. The rise of artificial intelligence and cyber warfare is another critical challenge. As technology continues to advance at a breakneck pace, the CIA must adapt to new forms of intelligence gathering and threat assessment. AI-driven surveillance, quantum computing, and advanced encryption techniques will play pivotal roles in future operations. However, these technologies also raise questions about privacy, ethics, and the potential for misuse. How the agency navigates these technological frontiers will shape its future capabilities and public perception. GAP-2S. Speculative media elements, such as holographic interfaces and virtual reality simulations, provide a glimpse into the possible future of intelligence operations. Imagine a world where field agents use augmented reality glasses to access real-time data, or analysts employ AI algorithms to predict geopolitical shifts with unprecedented accuracy. These futuristic tools could revolutionize the way the CIA conducts its missions, making them more efficient and effective. GAP-2S. However, the future is fraught with uncertainties. Emerging global threats, such as climate change, pandemics, and transnational crime, will require the CIA to expand its focus beyond traditional espionage. The agency will need to collaborate more closely with international partners, non-governmental organizations, and private sector entities to address these complex challenges. This shift towards a more holistic approach to security will redefine the CIA's role in the global arena. GAP-2S. As we speculate about the future, it is essential to remember the lessons of the past. The CIA's history of controversial operations serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us of the importance of ethical conduct and accountability. Moving forward, the agency must strive to balance its mandate to protect national security with a commitment to uphold democratic values and human rights. GAP-2S. The future of the CIA is a topic of ongoing debate and speculation. Will it become a model of transparency and ethical conduct, or will it continue to be shrouded in secrecy and controversy? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain: the challenges and opportunities of the future will require the CIA to evolve and adapt in ways we can only begin to imagine. Gap 3S. Stock footage of futuristic cities, AI interfaces, and global maps provide a visual narrative, illustrating the potential future scenarios for the CIA. These speculative images underscore the dynamic and ever-changing nature of intelligence work in the 21st century. Gap 2S. As we ponder the future of the CIA, we are reminded of the agency's pivotal role in shaping global events. The path forward will be determined by the choices we make today, the reforms we implement, and the ethical standards we uphold. In a world where the lines between security and liberty are increasingly blurred, it is our responsibility to ensure that the future of intelligence serves the greater good. Gap 3S. Section 5. Shadows of Doubt. What secrets remain hidden? These declassified missions offer a disturbing glimpse into the CIA's past, but they also raise a crucial question: what else is hidden? What other covert operations remain classified, their secrets buried in government archives? The CIA's history is a stark reminder that even in a democracy, power can be abused. It highlights the importance of transparency and accountability. We, the public, have a right to know what our government is doing in our name, especially when those actions cross ethical lines and violate the very principles upon which our nation was founded. The declassification of these missions, while unsettling, is a step towards accountability. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about our past and to demand better of our government in the future. We must remain vigilant, asking questions, demanding transparency, and holding those in power accountable. Because the truth, as shocking and unsettling as it may be, has a way of coming out eventually. The question is, are we willing to listen?